good stuff. If you guys have a Bible, again, go to Joshua chapter 1. Joshua chapter 1. If you have a Bible, then you can get there. When my kids were smaller, even now actually a little bit, they love this group called the Ninja Kids. You guys know about these guys, the Ninja Kids? Yeah, I see some head nods and some yeses. They're three brothers and a sister, and so 3 boys and a girl, and they're growing a little bit now. They're getting a little older. I think the youngest is probably my oldest's age, maybe 11. But this is as of just a couple of months ago. They have a YouTube following of about I think they're over 25 million now subscribers, or close to, or somewhere around there. Over 13 billion views as well on their YouTube. Can you imagine? And they were ranging, when they started, they kicked off their YouTube channel in 2017. And I think they were, the oldest might have been 13 at that time, or 14 maybe is the very oldest. They have incredible influence right now, like early, young. The younger generations, they're not waiting for anything. Like they're not, and that's not always a good thing, by the way. According to our culture, everything is instant, right? Everything is now, our culture continues to indoctrinate our children with believing they should have whatever they want, whenever they want it, without any thoughts to the consequences of that. But for me, what I've done is, in my own mind and my own heart, it's taken obviously years of just reorienting my heart. But instead of just like whining and complaining about it, which it's easy to do, or shrinking back, or just throwing up our hands and saying, oh, well, technology's here, we're not going to be able to turn the hearts of kids. It's this culture, it's long gone, whatever. Instead of doing those types of things, God beckons us to engage culture with gospel and truth. He beckons us to do that. So why can't our kids, since it's happening at a rapid rate all over, why can't they have an impact for the kingdom right now? So I did not put a picture up. I forgot to do this. I have a picture. Let's be real, gentlemen. My wife took the picture. Let's just be real, okay? I don't have to lie, okay? My wife took a picture of, this was probably 2 weeks ago. My oldest son, he's 10 and a half, whom you've got to meet. Oh, no, it's not that. That's not it. That's not the picture. That is coming up, though. No, he, joyfully. That is coming up, though. We'll talk about that image right there. I like to be image rich, guys. He's sitting at our island in our kitchen, and he's got I think it's my laptop that's open, and on that there's a Zoom call, and he has 5 or 6 of his friends from all over, and there's a couple of them that want to join from different cities in our region, and I don't even remember what they call themselves. My son and them have started a monthly Zoom call where they decide how they're going to raise money throughout the year and what they're going to give that money to. I'm listening to this 40-minute, 45-minute Zoom call, and they're 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 years old. A couple of them are 11, 12. They have influence now. May I be so bold to say that the next great awakening, I feel like we have rumblings of revival that's taking place right now. If you don't know, I would encourage you to look up on Google what's happening at our college universities. Rumblings of revival that lead to a great awakening that is going to hit our country is going to be led by the younger generations. And as older generations, well, maybe not you, Tyler, right? Tyler, maybe not you, or Anderson, right? But what I'm hoping for us as older generations, for some of you guys who are under 25, that we will fan the flame, and that we'll come alongside, and that we will encourage and correct gently, and link arms with them. I want to be a part of this. I don't want to miss it, because I think what God is preparing us for is something that is way beyond our own control, our own ability to control. And whatever part there is to play, I want to play my part. I don't want to miss out. That brings us to Joshua. Okay. What a guy, Joshua. One of only 2 spies who saw the future possibilities of what ought to be, what could be, what should be. And I sometimes wonder, did he ever imagine that one day he would be the patriarch of Yahweh's chosen people, that he would take over and go into that promised land? Maybe he thought about it. Did you ever imagine that he would get to do that? Think about this. Moses, legend, right? Imagine the conversation that Moses has with Joshua. Hey, so I screwed up. Surprise, surprise. I'm going to die on this side of the promised land. You're the guy that's going to lead him into the promised land, and you're going to do it without me. Okay, imagine that conversation. He's not allowed. Moses. So Joshua, Josh. Do we have a Josh in here? Is there any Josh? Yeah, Josh. Yeah. Josh is tapped on the shoulder and says, your turn. You're it, right? And then, I look in a room like this. Many of us have felt that tapping on the shoulder. Many of us have felt that nudging of the Holy Spirit, just as Joshua probably did as well. It's kind of intimidating, right? The feelings of inadequacy, feelings of imposter syndrome be overwhelming. Now we can show that photo. That is, sometimes that's me, right? Right. Isn't that a great picture just of how are you feeling today? You just show them, this is the picture you show them, right? This is it. I love the candor of Scripture. I love the candor of the Scriptures. It's relatable. So here we go. Joshua 1:1-2, and then I'll skip to 7-9. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, Moses, my servant, is dead. And he did, I'm sure he knew that. But anyway, now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving to them, to the people of Israel. Verse 7, only be strong and very courageous, being careful to do according to all the law that Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may have good success wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Jesus picked you. Don't go past that. I'm not going to move past that too quickly. You, me, we are not here by accident. He picked you. Together, we have been chosen for this specific time in history. And some of you in here, you need to hear that. Not just hear, you need to believe it. The creator of their universe did not make a mistake. He picked you. He picked me. He's not abandoned you. Whatever challenges, difficulties you face, pains, frustrations, things that are just unsavory, unlikely, like the pains I'll just go through even some of my own ministers, my own pastors and leaders and workers in my own state. The things that we are dealing with, the struggles, it can be daunting, but God has not abandoned you. How many of you have heard of a guy named Ron Bradley? Probably have never heard of this guy, Ron Bradley. I call them Ronnie B. None of you, I'm sure, have heard of him or ran into him. But Ron saw something in a young college kid. He hung out with this kid. He walked with him. He encouraged him. He challenged him. Ron was in his mid-50s at the time, and he was a major influence in my life at a time when I was not sure what to really do with my life. Do I have a picture of Ron? Joe? Yep, that's Ronnie B. Look at that handsome man. Ron was somebody who did not have even 40 subscribers. Okay, and he didn't even have a YouTube channel. He doesn't have sponsors. He doesn't have a ton of awards, but he has significant influence. And I would not be here today if it wasn't for Ron Bradley. The question is not, do I have influence? The question is not, how much influence do I have compared to somebody else at that church or at that social media platform or that person who preaches and teaches or whatever. The question is, what will I do with the influence I have been given? What will I do with the influence? How am I leveraging the influence that is actually graced to me, given to me? I didn't earn it. It's God's goodness. So with this in mind, I want to move into something that, in my opinion, doesn't get talked about enough. I feel like we started that last session with being, that just who you are, who we are as humans is just the relationship that we have with God. That being is not about what you do or accomplish or performance or anything like that. I wanted to kind of just start out with that who we are, and then move into maybe some practicals of how we operate as followers of Jesus who are in ministry positions, whether you're a volunteer, full-time, anything in between, whatever it might be, okay? I want to talk about the art and importance of followership. Followership has incredible significance for where we're going for the rest of our day. So if you want, you can also, it'll be on the screen. I know that we're bouncing around a little bit, but Mark chapter 1, we'll get there in a second. But men like Ron Bradley, and then my current father figure, he's a spiritual father to me, is Steve Pulis, invited me into something really beautiful and significant when I was younger. And I want to just talk a little bit about this idea of followership. So Mark chapter 1, 16 through 21, and then I'll ask you what kind of stands out here. Passing alongside the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and Andrew, the brother of Simon, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And Jesus said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you become fishers of men." And immediately they left their nets and followed him. And going on a little further, he saw James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, who were in their boat mending the nets. And immediately he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired servants and followed him. So what stands out in this small passage? What do you guys notice? What stands out? Just yell out a couple of thoughts. I mean, pretty obvious too. Immediately, yep. Hired servants. Love the hired servants, yeah. Yeah. Anything else stands out? They followed, yeah. Huge. One more. Yeah, yeah, they did. And the trade. So their income, their family. You would if you didn't make it. I might be getting ahead of myself a little bit, but yes, they left their source of income and their trade and all that. Yeah. Jesus exerts authority here? Only rabbis could do this. Only rabbi. I mean, there was a few other, like some in the Sanhedrin or whatever. And obviously, if you were a centurion or whatever, it's a different type of authority that you exerted then. But to call somebody to follow them, that's an authoritative Jewish rabbi would do that. Mainly, there's a couple of others, but this is Jesus' team. They're an interesting crew. They're older. They didn't make it through all three, or at least at the very least, all three levels of schooling on that day. Beit Midrash, Beit Sefer, there's another one I'm missing. Okay, so they go back to the trade of their father. So they didn't make it. You've got a zealot that ends up being in this crew. What does a zealot want to do? Well, the zealot wants to kill the tax collector. Everybody wants to kill the tax collector. But, the zealot wants to, rebel against Rome. And then you got a tax collector who was at the time before Jesus called him, embezzling for Rome, whatever. It's just an interesting crew here. Follow me. I don't know who did. Maybe it was you, John. It's a big deal in Jewish culture. Follow me. In the Second Testament, I call the Second Testament or the New Testament, the word follow is used over 130 times. Either right on 130 or a little over. How many times do you think the word leadership is mentioned in the Greek? It's used around 6 times in the Greek in the New Testament. Usually it's referring to an originator. In the most instances, it's negative. It's like somebody led somebody to sin. It's used in that kind of a context. So I think I have a slide. Hegeomai is used 4 times, a guide or to direct. Amy protos is used once to be first, before chief, that type of thing. And then archegos, it's only used one time. It's used for, who do you think? Creator God. The archegos, the originator, the founder, the architect. It's kind of where we get architect from. We are bombarded. We are bombarded with all things leadership. And I don't want to poo-poo on it, okay? It's not like it's all bad, but it's just not represented in the scriptures as it is in our culture in the same ways. I feel, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit already, one of the greatest challenges the bride of Christ faces in America, especially when we want to capture what's happening with rumblings of revival, is the failure to reproduce Jesus followers, past and potentially in the future. It is one of the challenges that we will continuously face. Part of it, the reason why, is because of the way our culture is set up, and we have to constantly be resisting the way culture is set up in some sense. So I say this all the time. We don't have a serving problem. We don't have a leadership problem. We don't have a generosity problem. We don't have a fill in the blank problem, whatever it is. We have a followership problem. We have a discipleship vacuum. Dallas Willard, in his neck-punching work, The Great Omission. How many of you guys have read The Great Omission? Raise your hand if you read it. Okay, I highly, 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 highly recommend you read it as a group even, or a couple people together. He said it like this. He says, "There's no problem in human life that apprenticeship to Jesus cannot solve. The greatest issue facing the world today, with all its heartbreaking needs, is whether those who, by profession or culture, are identified as Christians will become disciples, students, apprentices, practitioners of Jesus Christ, steadily learning from him how to live the life of the kingdom of the heavens into every corner of human existence. This is the starting place of all fruitful and healthy ministry. We, as shepherds, follow Jesus." Now, we talked about this a little bit in the first session. "While we walk with those we are privileged to apprentice." Privileged to walk with them. So what does it look like practically for us within our churches, within ministry context. Again, I'm doing this on a macro level. Please, when we get to dialogue and discussion, try and get to more of the grassroots stuff that would really, really apply to you guys in your personal context. But I want to give a kind of a macro level here. How do we leverage our God-given influence for the kingdom? And I argue that the term walk, or to walk, as a metaphor and motif for discipleship. Obviously, I link it to this idea of following and followership. So walk as a metaphor and motif for apprenticeship. That's what we're kind of getting at here. So our tendencies are to invite people into a system or a structure or a program, right? You go to discipleship class. Did you go to discipleship small group? Did you go to the 6-week study on? Did you go to the 2-month on this or what? Okay, we tend to invite people into some type of structured program type of thing rather than the mission. We search for and seek out the best techniques rather than diving into a long, rigorous journey. I'm not opposed to classes. I'm not opposed to good technique and structure. Don't hear me wrong. But I want to push against some of the cultural stuff by saying we need to be missional. We are a missional people. So a walking motif kind of flips the pyramid, so to speak, from the pastors are the ministers, the few professionals are at the top calling the shots, are responsible for working the ministry, to we are all ministers who are privileged to do the work of the ministry alongside of one another. Okay? Think Paul's body metaphor, which I believe, not everybody agrees with me on this, but I believe is the greatest metaphor that we are given in the scriptures. The temple's a really good metaphor too, but the body is a fantastic metaphor. So this is everything to do with following the archegos together, following the originator together. So the Hebrew word halak is used 235 to 266 times or so, often describe this idea of dying, which translates to Jesus, his teaching in the Gospels, take up your cross and follow me, right? Even more importantly, it describes walking before the Lord or living a moral life, moral, ethical, religious life that pleases God, that pleases the Father. So some of you might know this. In the ancient Near East, especially during Jesus' time, you wanted to be as close as possible to your master, to learn from them, to glean from them. And inevitably, what would happen is we know some of this because of Josephus and Philo and some other ancient historians, Christian historians, that Jewish, you would inevitably begin walking like them. So if your rabbi had a limp, you kind of limped around. You became a little hood. You kind of limped around a little bit, right? You inevitably began walking like them. During Jesus' time, a disciple could easily be identified to whom they belonged simply by how they walked. So that's the idea of that walking motif. With that said, here's 3 practical pieces to walking with one another, walking and apprenticing and in discipling. Okay, first, choose your 3 to 5. Okay, I like to say this. I feel like we don't need to do this because you guys are the ones that are active in ministry, shepherding, and all that. I usually like to help people start out with who is your one. Who's your one? Who's one person? Usually, I really hit the older generation with this because it's much easier to grasp. Like, well, I can walk with one person. So we walk with people in smaller groups. This was the thing. This is one of the things that my youth group, my team, I hit on every single week we did a huddle before our Wednesday night gathering, and we switched to Sunday nights. We did a 10 or 15 minute huddle. I always said, remember guys, who's your 3 to 5? Who's your 3 to 5? Who's your 3 to 5? They got so sick and tired of me saying that. All right. And then I would say a look, a word, a touch, appropriate touch, right? You got a 2025, right? So choose your 3 to 5. This is a smaller group of guys or gals or a mixture. And side note, again, I know we got a mixture of people in here. Don't leave this up to just the lead youth or the lead children's minister to do. I expected all of my team to be walking with at least 3 to 5 kids, students. Sometimes it was I had older youth leaders, which are God sent, like Grandma Bev and Uncle John. No one called him Uncle, but anyway, who would walk with some of my younger youth leaders that were 18, 19, 20 years old. So who's your 3 to 5? That's the first thing when it comes to this walking motif. Moving from that, choosing that, who are you going to walk with, to the table. The table. This is huge, guys. The table. Within Jewish history, the table was identity formation, which I love the fact that we have tables out here. I think I told you, Beth, last night. I was like, oh, dude, if I was I'm not. I'm glad I'm not, dear Lord. I don't want to be a lead pastor. But anyway, if I was a lead pastor and I had this building, I would just set out tables all the time. Like I do Sunday morning with tables. The table is huge. It's identity formation. It's how we do life together. I would say that we have, and maybe you would agree with me, an identity crisis with the younger generations. That's also taking place as the anxious generation. They're being coined that, and so on and so forth. But the table is our powerful be with symbol. So I have a buddy of mine. We went to grad school together. His name is Sean Moore. He's brilliant. He's a Messianic Jewish rabbi. I've talked with him about this metaphor of the table and a bunch of other stuff. This is what he says. He says, when you sit down to eat with someone, there's a vulnerability. We are showing each other a different side of us. There's an implicit trust. In post-resurrection Jesus, or he would say Yeshua, it was through breaking bread and sitting at the table that the disciples truly knew and recognized who Jesus was. That's amazing if you think about that thought. They recognized Jesus because he was breaking bread. Okay? You can tell a lot about a people. I've lost my spot. And ourselves by how we handle ourselves at the table. When you are sitting there across someone and you have animosity, is going to come out at the table. If our kids, if our students, if our children, if our friends who are in ministry together, their main association with the faith is us praying blessing over them and then having a delicious meal and then playing a game together, the emerging generations are probably going to grow up loving the Lord. Bring back the table. Whatever we do, bring back the table. Talk about that maybe a little bit more. The third thing is go and do likewise. This is littered throughout Jesus' teachings. Okay, everything he did was exported to the disciples to carry out and to carry on. Okay, we sometimes forget this. Like we read it, we read John 15, 16, 17, the high priestly prayer. We read that. We look at Acts chapter 1 and Jesus just pieces out. We look at those. We forget everything he did. He expected the followers, his first followers, and then throughout time to export and do then likewise, right? Apprenticeship by definition should be done with exportation, replication, and multiplication at the forefronts of our minds. So every place that we go, that we serve, we need to understand we are an interim. That I need to be raising up somebody else, whether they step up to that or not, to take it from me and do likewise. So you want the ones you're walking with to eventually see the power and necessity of going and doing it themselves. So this is, I'm going to stop for a few questions here and then we'll jump back in. I have an apprenticeship structure that I do. I don't know if I have a QR code or not, Joe. What do I have next on that? I think it's on there. I'm really not pleased with how it all turned out. Yeah, we can do that. Okay. So let's do that. Let's just go into the questions. So let's take 5 minutes at the tables. And let's go through a few questions that I would encourage each of you to wrestle with. So one thing as we're getting ready to think through, what would it look like if each of you chose 2 or 3 or even one person and consistently over a certain amount of time, you just walked with them? Is it once a week? Is it a once a month coffee around the table? Is it a Bible study that you're doing? What does that look like? What if as a team of adults, this was one of the main focuses you had as well? So you got your teams here, and maybe it's not all of your team, but that's okay. You can go back and export this to say, hey, listen, over the next 6 months, we're going to dive into some type of followership, discipleship structure where we are meeting with kids in groups of 3 to 5, or students, or with one another. I did a thing for my home church. I spoke at a men's breakfast. I did a thing. It's called the 90-day challenge, and it's a once a week gathering with men, 3 to 5. Some of them are like, oh, there's 6 of us. That's okay. And it was a whole structure with a meeting together, reading the Bible together, praying together. Okay, celebration, scripture, prayer. Okay, so anyway, let's out of the Joshua passage, these are 3 questions I would love for you guys just kind of dive into. So let's go 5 minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay, do you have those questions? Yep, there they are. No, that's the one. Those are the ones. Yep. Thank you, Joe. Way to be a servant. I know I said this last night, but way to run the slides, bro. You are so good at that. Okay, so yeah, what in your context needs to die? What is something the Holy Spirit is pressing you to tackle, but there's resistance? Maybe you're afraid, overwhelmed. What passions and longings have the greatest potential to hijack your identity? So why don't you guys go ahead and discuss that, and then we'll come back and finish.